Welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Lebbing, and I love seeing business professionals, leaders, and entrepreneurs have massive success in their businesses. Are you ready to reach a higher level in your business? Are you looking to rise to the top and break through the barriers that are holding you back? If this is you, join us on the Mind for Success podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Mind for Success podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Lebbing, and this week I'm going to talk about our daily routines, our schedules, and how impactful they can be to our routines, to our day, to our week, to whatever it is that we want to create, even the energy that we want to show up in for the day. And the reason I thought this, it's such a foundational thing. And I know that a lot of people already know this, but I also know that this is something that even the best of the best people with the best intentions tend to get off track on every now and then. And it could be that, maybe you've never really set a good routine. So there is that. There's also the fact that sometimes our internal filters can affect our ability to get into good routines and maintain them. And I'll talk about that a little bit. And then the third is sometimes we just have things that happen and then we get off track. Something happens in our life that throws us off of our routine. And maybe it's something that's, been a continuing thing, a sick person or a loved one that's been sick or, whatever that is. It can throw us off track too. And then we just need reminders to get back on track. But this is one of the things I feel is so foundational, and it is something that I work with clients on because it is so important, and it's also very individual. So what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. So it is individual, and it is a practice, is what I call both my morning and my evening routine. So let's take a deep breath and step into this for a minute. One of the things that I want to bring up before we get into what are some possibilities on daily practices that we can do to really help us reprogram our mind and set our intentions for the day is that sometimes these internal filters, these subconscious filters that we have, can get in the way of doing the things that we want to do. And I'll give you a couple of examples of this. One is my own. I'll tell you a story of my own is one of the things that I have struggled with in my routine is exercise. And one of the reasons that I have struggled with exercise is because it wasn't something that growing up, I didn't see it. My dad was a farmer, so he was up at the crack of dawn and out working. There was no need for gyms or exercise or anything of that sort. So that part wasn't even a need because it just happened naturally. And I know my mom, I love my mom, but I remember her saying that she was allergic to exercise, like kind of jokingly, but then kind of not. And I know that it was something that she didn't do. And I know also, it's something that I think she still struggles with today. She's a little bit better now, as I am. However, that was a pattern, that was a program that I received from a very young age, before the age of 7. Exercise was not put in. And over the years, knowing, with women and body image, and there's so many things that are going into that sometimes we're our own worst enemy when it comes to doing the things that would help us the most. So this is something that I struggled with for a really long time. So that was a part of my routine that I wanted to do, but there was this subconscious filter that was preventing me from doing it. And I now have a pretty good routine going on. I'm still not a hard person as far as hard workout, go to the gym, but I love my yoga. I love my walking, and, I love doing certain things that are a little lower impact, and that fits best for me. So that's an example. And that hindered my ability to work that into my routine. And so what was happening is I would say, okay, I want to put this in my routine, in my morning routine, but then I wasn't doing it. And then it creates a vicious cycle. So something as simple as that, there may be a reason behind it. Another example, this is a client that I worked with, actually still working with. He's on a sales team that I work with, and he had a problem with showing up late to work. And it was like clockwork. You could count on him being late. And we dug into this. We were talking about routines one day, and we really dug into this. And for him, it ended up being a really deep belief that was the problem. As it turned out, he grew up in an abusive home, and it went back to that. So what he was doing in his mornings was he was doing everything he could for his wife, and then he would go back to sleep. So, and what we ended up connecting in the process that I do with people is that he had a need to please, like on a huge level, because he was afraid she would leave. And that went back to when we really dove in. It wasn't about his wife. It was about the stuff that he grew up in. And so that was affecting his ability to get up and move and keep going and do the things that he needed to do so that he could show up at work on time. So sometimes these internal filters, these limiting subconscious beliefs that we have, can be the reason why we don't stick to routines. And it takes some digging in to kind of connect the dots and figure out what those are. And I'll give you one more example. Same team that I'm working with, different employee who's newer. She's a newer employee in the group, and she's struggling with being late as well. And just diving in just a little bit with her earlier today, and finding out that she has it sounds like she grew up in a place where there was a lot of chaos in the morning. And so, and she was responsible for herself. So it didn't look like there was a whole lot of guidance. But it sounds like that chaos, that chaotic thing, is the thing that she attached to. And that's the program that's playing out now. So she said that her mornings are kind of chaotic. They're not set. And what's interesting is her evenings are totally different. Her evenings are calm, they're routine. So I know she has the ability to do that. So it's not about that. It's about the program that she grew up in. And we didn't dive into all of that. This was an introduction kind of meeting this morning, but I know that that's something that she'll want to resolve, or wants to resolve. So getting that out of the way, and assuming that if you don't have those kinds of things going on and you're able to put a routine in place, I want to go through some things that could be possible for you as far as morning routines, and things that I notice that people struggle with the most, and go through that. Okay, so first thing first, and I say this because I know in today's world, like, we're all so plugged in. We're all so connected to our friends, our family, on social media and whatnot. And I cannot stress enough the importance of staying off your phone, your devices, first thing in the morning and before you go to bed, both of those things. And the reason, in the morning, the reason is because when you start checking emails, you start checking texts, and you start checking and looking on social media and doing those things first thing in the morning, it puts you in a reactive mode. It puts you in the wrong energy for the day. So you're in this reaction mode instead of being intentional for what you want for the day. So that's one thing that I like to talk to people to take, even if it's just a short period of time, take that time for yourself and drink, drink your coffee, whatever it is. I like to, let people, if they want to, kind of ease into this morning routine thing so that, whatever works for them will work, they'll be able to stick to. So paying attention to that first and foremost. And then one of the things that I like to do besides my morning coffee or my morning tea, and I drink water very first, actually. That's the very first thing I do is drink a glass of water, and then I have my coffee or my tea. But then I'll find a quiet place, and that is when I go and either journal or meditate, prayer, any of those kinds of things to help me ground myself for the day. This is the best time for you to think about what are you grateful for, even if it's the smallest of smallest things. It puts us in the right mindset for the day, and it helps us step into a higher vibrational energy so that you can attract the things that you want. So starting that way is huge. And this has been a work in progress for me as far as how it's evolved. I used to journal every single day. Now I'm probably doing more meditation, less journaling. Sometimes it's a combination of both, but I always take that time so that I can really ground myself before I start the day. And this is really, really huge to be able to do. And I know, I work with so many entrepreneurs, and I know that a lot of people just don't take that time. And once you start to take the time and you really see the effects of it and how it can impact the rest of your day, you will begin to love it. And it can be really huge. Beginning my morning, starting these things, it was, just a few minutes out of the day. Now I do a little bit longer, and then it extends into whether I'm doing yoga or if the weather is permitting and I'm able to go outside and go for a walk. Sometimes I just walk out in nature and just sit outside if it's nice. Any of those things to help me feel more grounded and more intentional for my day is helpful. Next, I want to talk about setting your or ending your day and what that might look like. Because this is equally important, and it doesn't have to be a big, long routine. But again, I would say if you are on devices, I would challenge you to phase yourself off of that, at least for a period of time, even if it's only 30 minutes. They recommend 2 hours, 2 hours, turn off all your devices. That's what's recommended. I know for some people that's really tough to do. And if you can get into a habit of turning that everything off, put it on airplane mode or notifications off, don't sleep with it through next to your head, because the energy from the phone, the EMFs, will float around your bedroom and disrupt sleep, amongst other things. So be aware of how you're ending your day. Some things that I like to do. So I'll start the evening routine about 45 minutes before I really actually want to go to sleep. And some of the things that I like to do is drink teas, like herbal teas. I'm thinking chamomile and peppermint to kind of get myself in the mode. I will read in bed. I have noticed that if I read in another room and then go to bed, I have a harder time going to sleep. And that's just me. So you just pay attention to those things. Once you start paying attention, you will be more in tune with what you specifically need. So I like to read. I usually don't even have to do a whole lot of reading before I get sleepy, and then I'm good. Another good habit that I have found that's probably changed my mindset the most is journaling either at the end of the day or before I go to bed. And the biggest thing that I like to do, and this is because of how your subconscious mind works. So here's a tip for you, is write down the 3 most important things that you would like to accomplish, your 3 intentions for the next day, And the reason you do it the night before or at the end of the workday is because your subconscious mind will go to work on that. It will start to look for the solutions that you need. Or if you're working on a big project, you can ask yourself a question like, about just thinking about what ideas can I bring about, or what solutions can I bring about to help me with this project? And then just go to sleep. Just go to sleep, because subconsciously everything is working in here internally. And then when you wake up, a lot of times it's like a clear slate, and then the ideas just come and you're able to actually go through those things. Another thing that I like to journal at the end of the day is my celebrations. And I have a rule of and it's a loose rule, but I have a rule of doing 3. So what are 3 things that happened today that I can really celebrate, even if they're small things? So for instance, especially if it's something you're working on. So I'm going to give you the example of exercise, because that was something that I was working on for a while. And I would celebrate, okay, today I, got my workout in. I was able to go for a walk. I was able to get my yoga in, and I celebrate that. However, so this is the part that's important to remember. If I didn't do it and it was an intention for the previous day, then I would write down, what can I learn from that? So how can I turn that thing that I didn't do into a learning? Because when you can turn it into something that you learned, then you can celebrate that. So it turns into a celebration. So let's say I didn't get the workout in, I might have learned that I need to. So the learning might be, maybe I didn't do it right away in the morning. So the learning might be, okay, today I learned that in order to get my workout in, I need to do it first thing in the morning. Or today I learned in order to get my workout in, it would be helpful to maybe put my workout clothes out right away. I actually have seen people that sleep in them so that they can get up and work out right away. So I would be thinking about things like that I could put in as a learning, which makes it a little more positive and helps my mind focus on what I can do to get this habit in place. So this is really, really huge. So celebrations, write down 3 as well for the day, either a learning or what you're grateful for, what went well, what you learned from it. When you do that, it programs your mind and more of the good things happen. It helps elevate that energy level, it helps you bring into the new energy that you want to show up in, and it can be really helpful. So that's my message for today. I know it was foundational. And just to recap, check in with yourself. If you have a habit that you haven't been able to implement, check in with yourself to be sure that there's not a subconscious belief going on that's preventing you from doing that thing. Two, make sure that you've got something in the morning going on, staying off your device, being grateful, journaling, meditation, something of that sort. Even if it's only a few minutes, it is helpful, something to ground you for the day. And the last part is in your evening or bedtime routine, make sure that you are writing down intentions and celebrating and I would take this. So if I were you, if I was listening to this, I would think about what I'm doing now. And then I would think about, okay, what could I take out of this, out of these ideas? Is there one thing that I could do, one thing out of all of these ideas that I could implement that would be a simple thing for me to implement and change into my routine, and then take note of the difference. Take note of the difference that it makes in your day. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you on the next episode.
Are you ready to break through the barriers that are holding you back and reach a higher level in your business in just 4 hours? Be sure to click the link today and join other high-achieving professionals that have worked with Kimberly Lebbing to accelerate their success.